everyone, and welcome to Break Your Shell podcast. Today, I'm excited to have you join us, and I'm joined by three wonderful and strong women that are going to share with us on the topic 16 days of activism against gender-based violence. And maybe you have no idea what I'm talking about, but I'm excited that we actually have a team of women that are going to explain, that are going to share, that are going to elaborate what we'll be talking about. As we're going towards the commemoration from the 25th, I would like to have these team of ladies share and help us understand what does it mean and how does it affect women. And maybe most importantly, would like to look at how best you can access assistance if you need it and that you're not alone. So last podcast, we're talking about what we eat makes who we are. And so today would like to look at that as a woman. Whatever it is that you're going through, it makes you who you are. So whatever it is you're going through, if you're not happy with it, there are other women out there, there are systems and structures that you can access for help. So today I'm joined by Nonhlanhla Dlamini, and you're going to get surprised. There's another Nonhlanhla Dlamini. But I have two of them. So Nonhlanhla Dlamini is an HR practitioner, and she's a mom, and she's joining us today on this topic to share and elaborate. And I'm also joined by Piwi Mabuza, who is a nurse by profession. She is the published writer, and she's a mother as well. See, like I said, I am privileged to also host our guest today, who is another Nonhlanhla Dlamini, who has years of experience in the field of gender, women empowerment, and today she's here to help us understand and give perspective on 16 days of 16 days of activism and what we can do as women. Whether you are in the situation or you're not, you all can play a role. So she is going to help us to elaborate on that. I will start this conversation with her and ask her a question. When we keep talking about GBV, we keep saying 16 days of activism. Sometimes we just see that as a statement in the paper. Sometimes we just see GBV. And many people have asked me, and a number of people still don't understand, what is it that we're talking about? Why 16 days of activism in November? What does it really mean? So I will start with Nonhlanhla to just give us an overview. What is really GBV? What is the 16 days of activism, and why do we commemorate it?
Thank you, my sister. To start with, GBV stands for gender-based violence. And it is violence that happens to you because of your sex. And the reason we are calling it gender-based violence is because it often happens amongst people who are in a relationship. It's not the violence that will happen probably in bars or anywhere after a quarrel. So it actually happens most of the time at home, where you are supposed to be safe. And the reason behind gender-based violence, it's nothing but power. So the person that has the power normally is the one that is a perpetrator. And what I want to also mention is that while most of the time it's usually happening to women by men, but there are instances where it's women to men. And it often comes in four different forms. We classify it into physical, sexual, emotional, and financial or economic. And when we talk of physical, it's the beating. And it's evident because most of the time people will end up with broken arms, with bruises on the face. So it's visible, you can actually see it. And then we have the emotional abuse. This one is very difficult because you don't have evidence. And you would often find yourself sick. You could have some anxiety, you could have ulcers, you could have high blood pressure, you could be diabetic, it could lead to anything. You might even commit suicide or attempt to commit suicide. And it normally comes in forms of words, the words that are said, or even in actions. But basically, it goes to the heart. And then the third one, which is financial or economic abuse, it also comes in many forms. It could be somebody taking your salary and using it not on the family needs. It could be stopping you from going to work, like somebody tells you, I don't want you to go to work, I want you to stay at home. It could be failing to maintain at home. So it comes in many forms also. And then the last one, which is the fourth one, it's sexual abuse, which, like the word says, it's sexual in nature. It includes your rape, it includes incest, and it comes also in many forms. And what I want to also mention, because there's a tendency to say, when you are married, there isn't rape. I've actually seen real cases of rape within marriage. And in saying this, I often say, going to bed, it's like singing. You have solo, you have duet, you have trio. So if you are going to be singing duet, you can't just go to the MC and say, we are going to be singing today, when you know the other person's voice is not okay. So make sure you suit in that voice. You make sure you have some holes, honey, ginger, whatever it takes to make the voice better, so that when you say, today we are going to be singing a duet, you are both in the form of singing a duet. And then what we've seen is that it is a cycle. That is why we have what you call the cycle of violence. And most relationship, it will start with the honeymoon. When everything is okay, you are happy, this person is the best thing to have happened. Even if they will tell you that this person is abusive, you're not going to believe. You'll think people are jealous because you will be the best thing to have happened. And then like a weather pattern, and then you have what you call tension building. That is when clouds are coming up like it is today. We don't know when the actual rain will come, but we can kind of see that some rain is going to come. The same thing, you don't know when the next beating is going to take place, but you know it will happen. And it is for that reason that you'll often find some women actually saying, okay, beat me. And then people are like, it means you are enjoying it. No, you want to get over this tension building phase because it's very painful. In fact, women who have been in this cycle say it actually feels like walking on eggshells. You don't know what will cause the next beating. And then you want it to be over because from the violence, you will then go into the honeymoon again. So it will go back to violence when it's raining and thundering. And when it's raining, sometimes bridges run away. Some people even die because of lightning or whatever. So some people might have permanent disability. You might have some injuries. You could actually be even admitted in hospital. But before you even realize, the person will be the first person to go and check you in hospital, say sorry, it will never happen again, you are back to honeymoon. And then it will continue in that cycle, tension building, violence, until if you're unfortunate, if you don't break the cycle, you actually die in the hands of that person. So that basically explains the cycle. And then getting back into the 16 days of activism, it's called the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence. It was actually started in Canada, Montreal, where there was an incident of extreme violence, where one male aspiring student who had not been admitted at a university felt that his space was actually taken by these women who were admitted in the university. So what he did, he took a gun, went to the school and shoot every woman that he actually came across. And there were actually 14 women that died on that incident. And then men in Canada stood up and said, no, it can't be. So they started the White Ribbon campaign, where they said, wear a white ribbon in support of women who have experienced violence from men. So that's basically how the whole event started. And as a country, we're sharing the same problems where women are dying in the hands of men. And it is for that reason that this event is then celebrated internationally from the 25th of November to the 10th of December. So there are other important dates around the time, like you have your Disability Day, you have your World AIDS Day, So there's quite a number of other activities. You have your Human Rights Day, which actually comes on the 10th of December. So I would say that is what the 16 days of activism is about.
Wow, that already puts a very heavy cloud on my heart. And I know if you're listening today, this could be something that is probably opening up wounds in your heart, things that you probably have been harboring, or maybe you didn't even know you're in the cycle. But thank you, Nonhlanhla, for that. I will probably just dig a little deeper and ask you a further question. And having understood this overall understanding of gender-based violence issues and the commemoration of 16 days of activism against gender-based violence, coming down to Eswatini, how big is this problem for us?
Hey, it's a huge problem. It's a huge problem. And I think as an organization, we have actually been advocating that it be declared national emergency because of the way in which it is happening. At Swaga, we have the toll-free line, and then we have people that come in physically. On average, on the toll-free line, we actually see about 750 people a month. And that is a lot. If we're saying 750 people a month, and those are new clients. And then when we come onto the face-to-face, we have over 2,000 cases that are reported per year. And these are new clients. We're not including the ones that are revisits, because we also have revisits. So on average, a caseworker would have about 1:200 cases, which is a bit too much. And then the sad part, as I talked about the different forms of violence, we are seeing a common trend of sexual violence amongst children. And then the sad part is that most of the violence actually happens at home. When we were growing up, we were told you must be careful of strangers, because we thought people would hurt us as strangers, but not anymore. The people that are hurting our children are right at home and include their parents, their siblings, neighbors, uncles, you name it. So, but basically in more than 85% of the cases, the abuse actually happens at home.
This is scary. I'm looking at this scenario and looking at my nephews and nieces who are very young, and how when we were growing up, it was so easy that your uncle could be asked to come and stay with you because your parents are traveling, and it was safe, and we were not really scared. And like you're saying, we were warned about stranger danger instead. And so this is telling us how society has changed. And I'll just add that coming out of COVID time, in pastoral work, in the workplace, during COVID time, there was news about these cases that came up a lot. I'm trying to find out whether it's because this was reported a lot during the COVID lockdown time, or was it because there was a rise in the number of cases. And I'm looking at Pee-wee here, sitting next to me, and Nonhlanhla in the workplace, in the church. There are things that started happening differently and coming up differently during this time, and the remnants of it are still there. And I don't know if you saw or experienced any of these things, and if you'd like to add to what Nonhlanhla has just raised here. Yeah.
With the issues of abuse in the church, you'll find that, okay, we have had actually us who stand as counselors at some point of time. You could see that there are people who are coming in, not necessarily spelling it out that there's something as a, one of the issues that I noted was the abuse. Some got relief from the abuse by spending hours at the workplace. So when it was COVID time, they were forced to be at home with the spouse. That means day and night now. And so with that period of living with this person during the day and during the night, you could see the spark of depression, spark of some symptoms that they can't cope. So few I attended just to say I can't stand him. Why? Because it was better the time I was at work. Now I'm forced to be at home. And you'll find that, okay, to some people, they had to be separation to some people. So the abuse is there. I may not confirm issues that relate to children on how things were, but in some adults, it was really something tangible, something that they spoke about, they shared, that it was not easy. And you look at these things and you confirm that how many families, you think it's a family, you look at them and you love, and you say, ooh, they love each other, yet it's not dead. That's where we are. And people out there are suffering. And no, break your shell. Don't keep silent. This thing is not a normal. Share, have some network where you'll be able to at least disclose that it's not so. It's not what we see. So that there could be some help. That's what was my observation during the COVID time. That it was really not good. It was not good at all in some families. Just to be in the house, one roof with the men, day and night.
Thank you, Pee-wee. Thank you so much for bringing that up. I think it brings out something that I would like to pick on, the issue that it was difficult sometimes for them to explicitly say what was going on. So these issues, it's telling me, I would like to pick on particularly the sexual abuse. It's things that we don't talk about, Nonhlanhla. It's things we're taught not to talk about. It's embarrassing to talk about. And more especially, even us among women, we do put on makeup and lipstick. And we show up and sit here looking bright and shiny. And everyone does the same. And so it's so hidden. That's why I was saying, my question was it that there was silence before COVID and now COVID lockdown, there was so much talk. But Pee-wee, you brought up that because maybe now you're under the same roof for day and night, so it became too much and so people spoke up. But it doesn't mean that it wasn't there before COVID time. Now the challenge is, what is making women not to speak up? What is why is the silence around this, even among us as women? I would literally find a darker foundation to hide the bruise so my friends don't see it. What is happening? I don't know, Nonhlanhla, if you have a perspective on this. Why is the silence? Do we really have to wait for lockdown, COVID, for the voices to come out? What can we do?
In fact, to start with, I want to say that, gender-based violence has been happening even prior to COVID. If you think that SWAGA was established more than 30 years ago, and even back then, the people who started SWAGA were concerned about the rate of gender-based violence in the country. And some of them were actually survivors themselves when they actually formed the organization. But truth be told, there's been a combination of both in the reporting and also both in the occurrence. And I think the enactment of the Sexual Offences and Domestic Violence Act of 2018 gave women hope. Some women were reluctant to report because they felt like even if I would report, the person would get away with a mere 80 malangen fine. And some of these men would actually even boldly say, "Ndok finela 80 malangen. After all, it's nothing, or 60 malangen." So it was nothing. So with the stiffer sentences, people are like, okay, at least I can report. At least I'll be able to get justice from the justice system. So, but the reality also is that we are seeing gender-based violence being so severe. The things that are happening now are hard to believe. That a person would actually have the guts to actually cut off your neck like he's cutting a chicken. Is gruesome in its nature. To actually dose you and burn you. So, every violence that is happening now is actually in extreme. You like, do people really have feelings? Do people really have blood running in them? What really is happening? So it's becoming more and more gruesome, and some people are actually buried. A lot of things are happening. So that's why I'm saying I think it's becoming more severe, and the reporting also, we are seeing an increase in the reporting. And then getting back to your question in terms of why women don't speak. I think we have a problem, multiple problems. One, people believe like you don't hang your dirty linen to the public. So that's the one other reason why people don't report. People feel that it's shameful if I report, and particularly because most of the abusers are actually good men out there. So some people think nobody's going to believe me because he's a good person, so there's no way he would do such a thing. Some of them have hope that he's going to change, and they keep hoping that he's going to change, and believe me, unless you break the cycle, that person will never change. So you need to speak out. Some people were probably warned about this person. Don't get into a relationship with this person. He's not good. He has an past experience, and then you're like, they are jealous because you've been a honeymoon. You go in. So the moment you start having problems, you're scared now to speak out because you're afraid people will say, we told you so. So that's the other reason that some women don't talk. Some of them don't talk because they are financially dependent to this person. So they're like, if I leave this person or if I report this person, then he's going to cut this stream. So it becomes a problem. So there's quite a number of reasons why women don't talk. You would only get to know when you sit down with the person in terms of why that person is not talking. And I really would want to encourage women who are watching this program that please do speak out. He's not going to change. And you will end up dying and leaving your children, because most of the time some women say they're staying for their children, and yet the children that they're staying for are actually being hurt, and some of them actually end up being abusive themselves, or even engage with drugs or whatsoever, because they're frustrated, they are fed up. So if you have to leave, it has to be for your children. Don't stay in an abusive relationship. Speak out. You might not leave the relationship, but your speaking out might actually make this person change when they talk to him. But if you hide him and then you put your makeup and then you say, I was actually doing some reshuffle in the house and something fell on me, this person is not going to stop. You need to call an abuser so that people know who that person is.
Thank you so much, Nonhlanhla. We need to speak up. And I would add, as women, we need to back each other up. On that note, viewers, I would like to take a short break, and we'll come back and continue this very challenging and difficult conversation that I'm hoping that as you hear this, you are also encouraged sitting in the corner where you are, and join us in the second session of this session. Thank you very much.
Stop. Not in my house, not in my community.
Awareness begins with all of us.
Break the chain of violence.
Stop the hurt. Stop the violence.
Beat a drum, not a person.
No excuse to an abusive behavior.
Abuse is not love. Know the difference.
Fight for an abuse-free Eswatini.
Red card to GPV.
Welcome back. We are continuing this conversation on gender-based violence and the upcoming 16 days of activism against gender-based violence. I am still with Nonhlanhla Dlamini, who is a HR practitioner, Piwi Mabuza, who's a nurse, and our guest, another Nonhlanhla Dlamini, who is an expert in the issues of women empowerment, gender issues in the country of Eswatini. And I would like to quickly move to Nonhlanhla Dlamini, the HR practitioner, to help us to understand a little bit more about this whole gender-based violence. Like we said, there's a lot of silence around it. But how do we know? What do we see? What can we use to not, if there's something going on, so we can take action?
Okay, thank you, host, and welcome, viewers. There are red flags. There are red flags out there. So you see a person who is short-tempered or quick to be tempered. They blame you for things that are happening in the house or in their lives. They change your voice. They force you to wear things that you feel not comfortable to wear, and controlling your money and your whereabouts, and when are you coming back? What are you doing? I told you about that thing. So they push all the blame onto you. They are jealous. They are possessive. So those are the red flags, signs that now, no, I need to break the silence. Do not wait for long. Just seek for advice and report it. In our workspaces, we have robust wellness programs. Please do participate so that you are channeled well, so that your work is not affected, your productivity and everything else. Even your children, they need you, so you need to be holistically well as you take care of yourself. Part of it is reporting things that you feel uncomfortable with. Yeah, that's it.
Thank you, Nonhlanhla. I will switch to the other Nonhlanhla and say thank you for those red flags. And it just got me thinking, are men affected by gender-based violence, and how? Nonhlanhla.
I did mention earlier on that gender-based violence is about power and control. So there are instances where women have more power over the men. It could be financial power, it could be positional power, it could be physical power. So they also do abuse in that instance. Sometimes it could be they know something and they use it as some form of blackmail. And yes, men do experience gender-based violence. It's just that when we look into the statistics, there are more women than men.
That's interesting. So it's something that also could need attention. Of course, we appreciate that more women are affected by this. Having spoken about the men and women in gender-based violence, we do appreciate that it happens mostly in families, like you said, and we know that in families there's children. Is there any effect, or what is the effect on children with gender-based violence? The short-term effects, are there long-term effects? What happens to the children as they grow up in these environments? Because like you said earlier on, women stay in abusive relationships, or men stay in abusive relationships, staying for the children, with the children in that environment. What effect does it have on them?
Gender-based violence, sometimes it's a learned behavior. So one of the effects is that some children will learn that when you have a conflict, you don't talk, but you use physical means. And there's such a problem even at preschool level. You will just pick them up. A child that comes from a healthy family, when they have a problem or a conflict with another, they'll go and report to the teacher. Teacher so-and-so is doing this. Teacher so-and-so is doing this. But the child that lives in a violent homestead, when somebody when she's having a conflict with somebody, he will definitely hit that person. So that is where the behavior starts. And then that person will grow with it, knowing that if you have a conflict, you have to use physical means and beat this other person.
I will just bring up a controversial thing. It's interesting what you said. I know that growing up, one of the things that used to happen disciplining children was I know these my colleagues are near my age mate. There was the cooking stick, there was the slipper, and usually it happens when mother is angry and she's like, whip the slipper, and she throws it, and that's showing anger. And because I'm in the position of power, I'm older, I'm angry with you, and I discipline this way. Is there some effect in teaching when you're angry and you want to express your anger? You manifest it this way.
Yeah, I normally say if you are angry, don't discipline the child, because you need to discipline the child with love so that you could actually appreciate that discipline. So don't discipline a child when you are angry. And also, the other mistake that most parents or guidance do is that a child will commit a mistake, and you will not beat the child, and you will even tell the child, and by the time you discipline the child, you are actually disciplining the child for all the offenses that she's committed. She's even forgotten about some of them, and then doesn't appreciate that discipline, because it will not be equivalent to the offense that has been committed at that point in time. So I normally encourage parents not to wait when you want to discipline, and then also make use of positive discipline. People often ask, what is positive discipline? In the era of today, you have a child who's misbehaving, you cut off the Wi-Fi. And that's a discipline, because they can't stay without that. So those are some of the things. If it's a small child, no dessert or no ice cream. So there's a lot of things that you can do without necessarily beating the child, and that will make the child to learn that if I behave this way, these are the consequences. So I would encourage parents to actually use positive discipline. We could, if we had all the time, we could make a number of examples, but that's basically what positive discipline is about.
Thank you so much, Nonhlanhla. I know that gender-based violence is a wide topic, and we definitely have not done justice to the topic today. But I'm happy that we have started this conversation and initiate in wherever corner you are, conversations around it. Say something so your friends know that it's okay to talk about it. And I would like to just ensure that as we continue this conversation, you engage not just for yourself, but also for the next person whom you're connected to. Piwi, I can see that you would like to say something to this issue. Please go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Alice. After everything have been said, please don't just sit there and think that everything is normal with you. Kunema services which are provided should you be even sexually harassed, because we're living at times where prognosis yemuntu nje after being sexually abused iba at stake because of so many diseases involved. So sikhalela nje lokho lokuthi angathi how many times has been emphasis put on saying sneak out and see where you can get help. If somebody is sexually abused in the facilities, we have post-exposure prophylaxis treatment. Kuba khona lokuthi nje asebam protect even from getting lawo ma diseases la anga related or associated with sexually transmitted diseases or HIV. So tinto etinjalo nje lesitikhalelako ukuthi come out, say something. Even in the church where we are, get somebody whom you can trust. Bakhokheli bakhona and all those longa lina kubo, lawo ma female pastors, and anybody, the seniors in the say something. Hleba mandothola sito yati kubuhlungu, because now kubuka akuvimbeki kalula lekule root cause. Uthi noma ngabe bekuthiwa ama cases asehlile kulenyanga ucalela phasi njengoba Nhlanhla asashilo athi nalokuthi kuyiwe kuthiwa bayabikwa enkantolo, but fine, they come out, but please help yourself. You are the only person who can help yourself. Nasitha sesikufake kahle le cage yakho. Come out, be forceful and be deliberate. I just want to be free from this. If it calls that early relationship in the family, it has to, because you have been given impilo lenhle lethiwa enjoy life every day of your life, especially if you are in God, you are in Christ. But look at the enemy. Say uhlalisa wena So we need to free ourselves, one way or the other. Thank you. And thank you.
Thank you so much, Pee-wee. You've brought out a very important message. Love should not be painful. It should not be painful. If it's causing you pain, it's no longer love. I would just like to switch to Nonhlanhla here and ask her to just share quickly toll-free numbers that people can call. Maybe some people are not yet ready. They're still scared to go in front of somebody to speak. Or we will share those numbers on our screens. We will help you. Pee-wee has talked about in the church where you are, there are people ready to wait you to help you. In a clinic or hospital near you, go and you can get assistance and support. Even if it's financial abuse, go somewhere where you find people who you can trust. And sometimes it feels better to speak to a stranger. So go to a clinic and ask to speak to a nurse. This is what I'm going through. Because even if it's financial, it will cause physical problems. You will have suicidal thoughts. You will have ulcers. You will have hypertensions, like Nonhlanhla said. So go talk to somebody, even if you choose to speak to a stranger because you're yet uncomfortable to speak to someone you know. Find someone and talk to. And another important message I will share is if you see someone, she highlighted some very interesting red flags that you can look out for. If you see a woman who is going through something, if you observe it or if they share, be a pillar of support. Be a link to help. Cover them. And like we always say, fix their crown. So let's break the shell around gender-based violence. Let's break the silence around gender-based violence. Let's speak out and let's help our colleagues to do the same. Nonhlanhla, any last words or connections you would like to share with our viewers today?
I think I just want to say, as we go towards the 16 days of activism, which is on the 25th of November to the 10th of December, let's all stand up and speak about gender-based violence, and also know that if you know someone who's being abused and you don't report, you could be charged and you could actually be behind bars or pay a fine of 1,000 emalangeni. So let's all speak out, and let's not just be during the 16 days, but let's change the 16 days to 365 days so that it becomes a lifestyle, so that it is a day-to-day thing. A lot of Swazis have suffered enough. We all need to break the chain of silence.
Thank you so much. Nonhlanhla, the HR practitioner, the other one, you have any last words you'd like to share? And I'll
Yes.
end with Pee-wee on that.
Domestic abuse isn't a private matter. Break the silence, report it, and love your sister. Thank you.
Asangisho nje, this last line, I will read it as it is. That I don't think people realize how much strength it takes to pull yourself from the dark place. If you ever did that, you should clap hands for yourselves. So nganyalo siyasho sethi khona lo tati khokha nyalo. And after uti khokhe kule simo, ungakhohlwa, the last thing you have to do, clap hands for yourself. It's not easy. Letinto sitisho lula, puma, but as you are doing it, we realize it's not easy. Pull yourself out of it. Free yourself and then celebrate. Call everybody, call your friends, celebrate. Because it's not easy, but we pray hard for all the women who are suffering there. Amen.
Powerful statement, Pee-wee. Thank you so much. And thank you so much, Nonhlanhla and Nonhlanhla, for joining us today and for helping us to elaborate on this topic of gender-based violence. And let's all look into ourselves within and find in ourselves the strength to either pull ourselves out of it or to pull our sister out of it and help each other holding hands. Thank you so much. Meet us again every first Friday of every month when we'll share topics that are pertinent to women, critical to women, that support and help women to take their stand and speak up. Every Friday, follow us on our Facebook page, Instagram page. We will be showing the next sessions on the next topic. If you have anything or any story that you think is worth and you would like to share, please contact us on our forums, and we would like to have you sit with us on these forums and share those stories and help our sisters to keep going and keep moving. Let us unite, ladies, and keep going. Thank you very much, and goodbye.